Hello, this is Rebecca Baker, and this video is going to be for YouTube post number 2. So this week we went over 3 different chapters, mostly all about persuasion. So the first chapter I'm going to summarize for you is called Change the Way You Persuade. So not only does this chapter emphasize the importance of how you deliver a speech or a proposal and the supporting evidence needed, but it also focuses on how vital and important it is to cater and tailor your message in your proposal to the key decision makers in your audience. So there are 5 key decision makers. First being the charismatic decision maker. They get very excited about an idea very off the bat, but with a little bit more supporting evidence and data, they may change their mind. They're very talkative, very dominant, again, very easily excited about new ideas. It's kind of hard sometimes to get a charismatic decision maker to make a decision soon. They tend to take a very long time, and you don't want to rush them. Which leads into the next decision maker, called a thinker. Like the charismatic decision maker, they need to know as much supporting evidence as possible. They take a very long time to make decisions. But unlike the charismatic decision maker, the thinker has 2 main objectives. They want to win. They want to come up above on top of the competition, and they need to anticipate change. So through your proposal, they need to know each and every step through the way and how it could change the future, whether good or bad. They need to know the risks. They need to know all the risks involved and how that could affect the bottom line. A thinker might also interrupt you during your speech just to get to the bottom line. They don't have much patience, and they want to know the key benefits as soon as possible. Now, the next decision maker is called a skeptic. They tend to go with their gut feeling. They tend to be rude, a little disruptive. They might be texting during your meeting. They might leave to take a call. They might even be having a side conversation. They will listen to data, but in the end, they make decisions very rashly. They'll just make a decision right off the bat, and even if they're not listening to all the supporting evidence. Which leads to the next decision maker, called a follower, which are kind of like the skeptics. They can be rude. They can be disruptive. They might make a decision on the spot, but they tend to follow other key decision makers that were well trusted. They tend to follow other examples or proposals that have seen success before. They get very cautious and a little bit paranoid if they don't know how the decision might affect the future, which is why they tend to go with who's ever the majority decision. It's more of like a peer review. They tend to follow their peers. Now, the last decision maker, a controller, is someone you probably would never want to give a presentation or proposal to. They just want the hard, cold facts. They don't really care about your opinion. If they tend to avoid accountability. If something goes haywire or wrong, they tend to blame others. And they tend to make a decision on whatever they feel is right, no one else's. So if I had to pick one decision maker, I'd probably pick the charismatic decision maker or the thinker. Even though they take a long time to make a decision, they will do what's right for the company and listen and try to figure out each and every risk, as well as the benefits that the proposal will have. The second chapter we read was called Harnessing the Science of Persuasion. So persuasion can be governed by several principles. It can be learned, it can be taught, and it can be applied. So there's 6 principles that go over the art of persuasion. One being the principle of liking. Now, the principle of liking is definitely all about relationship building. It's important to be open and honest and connect with your audience or whoever you're trying to persuade. For example, in Europe or even Asia, many companies from there won't talk business at all until they got to know who they're dealing with. They want to know people on a personal level. And then another principle is the principle of reciprocity. So for example, let's say a contractor comes in to give us a presentation. They might bring us donuts, they might bring us coffee, because they're trying to get an incentive for us to use them. It's reciprocity is all about giving and receiving. So let's say I smile at someone and they smile back. And the next principle is a principle of social proof. So this is when people are influenced by, again, supporting data, supporting evidence. The more you have, the better it is. So it's very important to research your topic and be well prepared ahead of time. The next principle is principle of consistency. So it's very important to get a buy-in in writing. People are more likely to go through with a commitment if it's in writing. So that's why most times now in the business world, people tend to send emails more and get so they can save those written communications down opposed to telephone calls. So if deadlines are being made, that's going to be through email, so it can be written down and saved. And people tend to commit more if they're volunteering for a commitment. If someone's forced or threatened to do something, they're less likely to commit and stick with that. Another principle is principle of authority. Again, people like evidence, and if that evidence comes from an expert, then public opinion is even greater. So it's very important, if you don't know enough information, take an educational class, take a seminar, bring in a consultant. It's very important to have enough references and even scholarly references and supporting statistics as possible so you can make your claim strong. The next principle is principle of scarcity. Basically, if you have a limited supply of something or a one-time offer, more people want something that's rare, something that they might not be able to get anywhere else. So people are more likely to want and benefit from something that they might not be able to get from anywhere else. And this principle also states that executives are more likely to listen about something if there's a potential loss in revenue opposed to if they could save something. And I want to read a quote from the book that I think summarizes this chapter perfectly. So, legitimate expertise, genuine obligations, authentic similarities, real social proof, exclusive news, and freely made commitments can produce choices that are likely to benefit both parties. I believe if there's anything you could take away from this chapter, it would be that entire sentence. I think it portrays the chapter perfectly. Now, the next chapter we read is called The Necessary Art of Persuasion. So obviously, persuasion is not just a skill, say, for those trying to sell you something or someone trying to close deals. Persuasion can be a very effective negotiating and learning process. There are 4 essential steps to the art of persuasion. One being established credibility. Again, whether through relationship building or expertise. So if you're having a difficult time with relationship building, try meeting with your key decision makers before you give a proposal. Try conducting some focus groups, polls, surveys, just so you know what the public opinion is and what they might be thinking, so you could cater your message that way. If you're having difficulty as an expert in something, again, hire a consultant, take an educational seminar. The more data and supporting evidence you have, always the better. Another principle is frame for common ground. So, what's in it for me? That's what the audience is always going to ask. You need to outline the benefits of your proposal, probably sooner rather than later. Again, you need to capture the audience's attention as soon as possible. And again, it's very important to provide evidence and show some kind of connect emotionally. As we read in the previous chapters, it's very important to be open, connect, be very passionate, and listen to your audience. So if I were to take away anything from these 3 chapters, I would definitely say it's very vital not only to articulate your message and have enough supporting data, but also to build strong relationships with your audience and key decision makers.